Hello everybody, this is ProFsxVideos, and today I'm going to be showing you a tutorial on the Coolsky DC-9 and how to fuel plan and find the perfect altitude for your flight. Alright, I'm going to be referring to the DC-9 Classic Aircraft Operating Manual from Coolsky, and that can be found in the following folder. If you go into your FSX folder and you go into Sim Objects and then you go into Airplanes and find the F1 or the Flight 1 DC-9 and then you click on Aircraft Operating Manual, should be the one that is 7.1 megabytes large. When you open that, you will find this piece of documentation. Go ahead and open it. Alright, today, as I said, I'm going to be showing you the flight planning and fuel planning stuff. So go ahead and scroll down until you see a section called Section 18. Sorry, my bad. Go down until you see... Where'd it go? Where did it go? That is very weird. I'm sorry, guys. I think I'm going blind. I think I'm going blind. I am very sorry. Go into Section 4, and under Section 4 you will find a thing called Flight Planning. Click on it. Okay, here we go, Flight Planning. So, the very first thing to note is that you need to have at least 8,040 pounds of dispatch fuel in the aircraft. That is the minimum regulation that is allowed. That's a minimum fuel, and that's a regulation. You have to have at least, no matter what flight, you have to have 8,040 pounds of fuel on board. Alright, and that is around 4,020 kilograms. The second thing you need to know is that you need to have a 4,000 pound, or in other words 45-minute reserve of fuel, which is required by the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration. Then you can add 300 pounds of fuel for the taxi. So you can do 600, 300 for each airport. For the arrival and destination, for the departure and destination. Second thing to note, or actually the fourth, you want to add 650 pounds of fuel for each planned instrument approach, being a ILS, an RNAV, NDB, whatever. Just have 650 pounds more for the approach. Then you also need to determine the fuel required to divert to the alternate destination. And finally, you need to know how much fuel you need for the entire journey. For example, I can tell you that a flight from Hanover to Nuremberg will result in a dispatch fuel of around 12,000 pounds, which is around 6,000 kilograms. That includes the 4,000 reserve, the 300 and 650 addition of technical fuel needs, and so on. So that's the first thing to note, okay? That is very important, I have to say. Very important. And so that's that, right? The second thing that you want to consider is your altitude. A 263 nautical mile trip from Hamburg to from Hanover to what's the name, Nuremberg, will give you around an hour, a 45-minute trip. All right, so you go here and you kind of want to consider the wind. While flying there, I had around a 50-knot headwind. This is up to 50 knots, up to 100. And so we're not quite here with 35,000 feet. It's not really practical climbing there. 31 still not really there. 27, 25 to 25. Okay, that's reasonable for a 260 nautical mile trip. Not that quiet though. Getting closer there. I'm rounding it up to 300. Just keep going down. 19,000 to 17,300. We see, okay, it is around 57 minutes 46. So I took 19,000 feet for the trip. You want to climb around 250 knots up to 10,000 feet, and then 290 knots, which is 0.72 Mach, to 25,000. And so on and so on. This would be already too little, you know, alternate planning. This is really important as well, as it shows you the alternate planning for the actual thing. So again, if you have an alternate distance of around 80, which is what I try to look for, you want to have around 3,300 more pounds of fuel for that, which is 45 minutes, well, roughly. See, 45 minutes, again, that's around well, around 4,500, whatever the fuel was again. I can't remember, I have to take a look back, but I just cannot find that. Here it is, it said 4,000 pounds, yeah, that's close enough. So, again, a 260 knot up to 300, you'd be good at 19,000 feet, as the aircraft does not really climb that fast. So, then after you found all that, you'd go here and find the cruising, so you'd find the altitude you chose for the trip, right? And you keep going down the page, so the pages have to decrease. And let's say I took 19,000 feet, which is what I actually took, so we're coming up to 19,000 feet. I can tell you that with around 73 passengers and whatever that 12,000 pounds of fuel, you're gonna end up around here, 96 to 98,000 pounds of gross weight. So I would highlight this, and I'd also highlight the temperature. When I was flying there, it was around minus 26, minus 24, so I'd go here and find this section, right? And I'd go, okay, here's minus 22.6 degrees Celsius of ambient temperature around the aircraft, and I'd go here, I'd be cruising at Mach 0.615 with EGT of around 360 and an N2 of 85 and N1 of 90. Pardon me, I'm terribly sorry. Of 79.7 for the N1. So this is basically all you need to know. If you know how to fly the aircraft, see, when I started out flying the Coolsky DC-9, I was like, okay, let's see, I need X amount of fuel. No, this takes a little bit of planning with the alternate, and to be exact, you just have to remember that you have to have at least 8,040 pounds of fuel for the release, and you need to have at least 4,000 pounds of fuel for the reserve. So you basically have a balance between reserve and true minimum fuel required. So hopefully this tutorial was not too long, and hopefully it was pretty basic and somewhat helpful. So I've had a lot of views on the Coolsky DC-9 Golden Dark tutorial. I think a little over 1,000, so I'm deciding to continue with that aircraft and see what happens. So again, thanks for watching, guys, and seeing you, and hopefully you guys can see the part 1 on the upcoming days of the full flight of the DC-9. So thanks.